All right, let's talk about one of the players that I view as a standout player. I view as a guy that is going to just be a consistent, solid player for us going forward, and someone that I'm really excited to see earn the start over Fred Moore, and that is wide receiver Channing Goodwin. I've talked about him before, but now he's getting some props, and Ron Bellamy's talking about him and still talking good about him, even after he had 2 drops in 4 balls that were thrown his way. Some of it's getting used to playing big-time football at the college level. He really didn't get a lot of run last year, but everything we're seeing from his recruiting to what we've heard about in spring ball into fall camp, everything we're hearing is that he actually has great hands, and what he needs to figure out is that extra burst and speed. But what we've been seeing, from the spring game and what we saw in this game was, okay, spring game, his hands were good, but we also saw pretty quick, twitched up athlete. So I'm starting to wonder what this looks like, but I'm very, very excited about it because this is a good thing. So we got a sophomore breakout candidate here. I think that Channing Goodwin could be poised to be the second leading receiver on this team as far as receiving yards go this year. I think Donovan McCulley will be one. It's either him or it could be him for number 2. That's the way I look at it. It could be Samaj Morgan as well. But let's go ahead and let's look at a couple of the quotes that was said by his coordinator. Now, first, let's talk, and it says Godwin had just 2 catches, but he had 49 yards, including a 39-yard catch and run that would have been the longest pass play of the entire 2024 season a year ago. On Wednesday, wide receivers coach Ron Bellamy shared what has allowed him the surge from the second-year play out of Charlotte. Now, before we get into that, I want to show you something that I thought was very, very interesting. All right, I thought this was very, very interesting. When you look at his recruiting coming out of high school, here it is, right here. All right, he was a 4-star by 247. Other than that, he was very solidly a 3-star athlete. Higher in the 3-star range, but still higher in the 3-star. But what they talk about here is how he was trusty in the over the middle. All right, this is what I thought was interesting. Here's what it said. I've seen Goodwin live 4 times, and I feel like I have a pretty good grasp of his game. Look, Goodwin, I'll zoom in for you, isn't going to wow you with a 40-time or freakish athletic ability, but he's the most consistent pass catcher on the board. Goodwin always seems to get open and is especially reliable over the middle. Okay, where did he have that 39-yard catch? It was an in-breaking route to the middle. He was on the outside. They sent the slot receiver on a deeper post. He cut underneath it. But what was so cool is he had a little bit of hesitation in his route because he recognized that it was his own. So he sat in between the dropping linebacker and the corner who was staying to the outside, got a catch, and then took it upfield. This was that like 3rd and 12, 3rd and 13, where we're like, oh no, freshman quarterback, what's he going to do? We're only up like 7 points. And he takes this 12, probably a 15-yard catch, and then tacks on another 24 yards up the seam before the safety could get to him, showing good burst and good quickness. Look, if we talk about lack of athletic ability, he's every bit the athlete that Ronnie Bell was. When I see him run, I actually thought he was kind of twitched up. So I was pretty excited about that. But I'm not the only other one that really liked what he was doing. Here's what Bellamy said. Bellamy said, yeah, just super consistent in practice throughout training camp, throughout spring ball. Really good football player. Super smart guy, cerebral player. You can move him around, physical in the run game, Bellamy said. Here's what he needs to be in the pass game. He's where he needs to be in the pass game. He just makes plays, and that's why we decided collectively that Channing got to start last Saturday. So we're going to keep talking about him, but in the middle of this, I want to ask you a question. Who is your favorite breakout player from the New Mexico game? Like, who is the one guy that you want to see more of? And so, yeah, one of mine is going to be Channing Goodwin for sure, but I would love to hear who you want to see as well. All right, so this is what's interesting. All right, he said, but Bellamy believes that the time on task has paid off. He's a hard worker, and now Goodwin is far ahead of the curve. And this is interesting, and he talks about what Michigan does with their wide receivers. He said, yes, because especially in our offense, where it's a lot of shifts, movements, multi-personnel, the Channings of the world is what he's saying. You love smart receivers. When we recruit guys, we make sure we can recruit guys that can play multiple positions, that can move around. There are some teams who don't move their receivers. We move our receivers a lot, and we want to make sure that our guys have an understanding of what's going on. Channing did not do spring ball into his freshman year last year. Usually that can, at times, set receivers back just because of what we're asking them to do. But during training camp, he kind of had those hiccups. And throughout the season, he got better and more confident, and that's why he was able to play down the stretch. But the thing is, last year, he was able to get in down the stretch. Nobody noticed. Like, we didn't get to notice because we didn't have a quarterback that could throw the ball that led to a 39-yard reception for him. That would have been our longest catch all of last year if he had gotten that. But we didn't have a quarterback that could get him the ball there. Meanwhile, you have Bryce Underwood, who made it look like he could throw that ball in his sleep. So now what we have is we have a guy like Donovan McCulley on the wide receiver who a couple of catches that were contested. He kept the ball outside of his body. Hands catches, fantastic to watch. You have guys who are able to get open, like Channing Goodwin. You have guys who are still being used in a gadget role. That was interesting. I'm really curious to see what they do with Samaj Morgan because he still did a lot of those dink and dunk catches, little wheels, screens, bubble screen, all this different type of stuff that Samaj Morgan was doing, even though he was quoted as saying the last coaching staff used me that way. I like to be an actual receiver. He likes to go out and catch passes. So I thought that was really interesting when you look at it. But our receiving core as a whole, I thought that they looked pretty good, if I can be honest. When we look at it here, this is according to PFF. All right. You got Marlon Klein was top. Samaj Morgan graded out the second best when you look at just receiving. Then it was Kendrick Bell, then Hayes, Donovan McCulley, Jordan Marshall, Channing Goodwin. Now, that Channing Goodwin would have been way up there. The problem is he had the 2 drops, but still fared better than Fred Moore. And Andrew Marsh had a rough game, but that's just a freshman getting his feet wet. He'll be able to continue. He'll be able to play more. But I just wanted to highlight real quick Channing Goodwin. He is that consistent chain mover type of player. And I think it'll be very interesting because you got McCulley, who can be the deep threat, the contested catch guy. You've got Samaj Morgan, who can be a speed guy. They're using him a lot in gadget plays now, but I think he can stretch the field too. And then you're going to have Channing Goodwin, who can just consistently run good routes over the middle of the field. Him and Klein just eating up space. And very excited to see how we can attack at all levels of the defense. The thing that I'll be looking for and hoping for is that Andrew Marsh continues to develop and can become the X deep option for us as well. But excited about Channing Goodwin. Think he's a guy who could just have those games where he has 5, 6, 7 catches. And I think that could go really well for him. All right. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Would appreciate it. See you.